In this video, we share memories of the Tibet portion of the tour with our group from Mexico and TravelChinaTibet.com. This trip took us from Lhasa all the way out to Mount Everest and back. Our Tibet tour took us through Lhasa, Tsadang, Yangpachen, Gyantse, Shigatse, Tingri, and Mount Everest. Please join us as we revisit the best moments of the places that we explored on this trip. We also made some other stops along the way, like at Yamdrak Lake, Samding Monastery, and Karola Glacier. Continue watching to find out more. We arrived in Lhasa from Chengdu by flight. Then we drove from Lhasa to Tsadang, which is located in Yarlung Valley in Shannan Prefecture. This area has an important part in Tibet's history and culture. Shannan Prefecture is known as the cradle of Tibetan civilization. The first Tibetan king and palace, the earliest monasteries, and the first farmlands and villages of Tibet all started from here. Trandruk Monastery, located about 2 kilometers from Tsadang town, is one of the earliest geomantic temples in Tibet. It has a history of over 1,300 years. It was originally built in the 7th century and later reconstructed in the 18th century. Samye Monastery is Tibet's first official Buddhist monastery. It was constructed in 775. It is located along the Yarlung Tsangpo River, about 30 kilometers from Tsadang. It is one of the most important and influential monasteries in Tibet. Samye is a monastery complex that has an interesting design. The main hall represents Mount Meru, considered to be the center of the universe. The surrounding temples were built in an oval shape and represent the continents, oceans, and the universe. Chimpu Monastery and Caves is located on a mountain about 16 kilometers above Samye Monastery. It is one of the most sacred places in Tibet. Monks still come here to find retreat in the caves and meditate for months or even years. Lhasa in Tibetan means the land of the gods. It is a center of Tibetan Buddhism with many important religious and cultural sites. Potala Palace is the most iconic landmark of Lhasa in Tibet. This red and white building complex sits on top of Red Mountain in the center of Lhasa Valley. It was constructed in the 7th century and served as the winter palace of the Dalai Lama. This palace is 13 stories high and has over 1,000 rooms. It is the highest palace in the world, located at an elevation of 3,700 meters. The historic ensemble of the Potala Palace, which also includes Jokang Temple and Norbulinka, is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Our travelers had a fun time at the Princess Wencheng show, which is a live outdoor stage performance. It is an epic production about Chinese and Tibetan history, told through the story of Princess Wencheng of the Tang Dynasty, who married the Tibetan king Songtsen Gampo 1,300 years ago. At the show, our guests had a chance to dress up in the traditional clothing of a Tibetan king and queen. Jokang means House of the Buddha. Jokang Temple was built in the 7th century in the center of Old Lhasa town with Barker Street surrounding it. It is a 4-story structure composed of wood and stone, built in traditional Tibetan architectural style with some Chinese, Nepalese, and Indian influences. This is a sacred pilgrimage site. Devoted Buddhists can be seen performing full-body prostrations along Barker Street and around the temple. Barker Street is a circular street that surrounds Jokang Temple. Religious pilgrims walk around the street spinning prayer wheels, or some perform full-body prostrations. There are local shops selling prayer wheels, traditional Tibetan clothing, scroll paintings, and other arts and crafts. Yangpachon is located about 90 kilometers northwest of Lhasa. This city is known for its natural hot springs. A geothermal power station here supplies about 30% of the electricity used in Lhasa. Yangpachon Monastery was originally built in 1504 and later restored in 1983. The Buddhist university located here was founded in 2006 and is for the study of the highest philosophy of Buddhism. Yamdrak Lake is one of the three most sacred lakes in Tibet. It is located about 170 kilometers southwest of Lhasa. The lake is shaped like a scorpion. According to local legend, this lake is the transformation of a goddess. Samdang Monastery is located on the west side of Yamdrak Lake. This monastery was built in the 13th century and is the only monastery in Tibet where both nuns and monks reside. Tashi Rinpo Monastery is located on a hill in the center of Shagatse, the second largest city in Tibet after Lhasa. It was established by the first Dalai Lama in 1447. This is traditionally where the Panchen Lama resides. In the past, there were as many as 4,000 lamas who lived here. Currently, there are about 800 to 950 remaining. This is the largest functioning monastery in Tibet. There are two Buddhist universities located here. Devoted pilgrims walk around the sacred path outside of the monastery. This is the Mount Everest entrance gate. You may see signs for Mount Chomolungma, which is Chinese for Mount Everest. Mount Everest, at a height of 8,848 meters, is the highest mountain in the world. It is every mountaineer's dream to summit. But for those of us who are less adventurous, we can still go there to see its magnificence. In 2019, the Everest guest tents were relocated. The new site is located only about 50 meters from Rongbuk Monastery. You can still get amazing views of Mount Everest from here. Rongbuk Monastery is located at the base of Mount Everest. At an elevation of 5,000 meters, it is considered the highest monastery in the world. It is located 8 kilometers from Everest Base Camp. We were honored to host this group of wonderful travelers. They are all warm, generous, and spiritual individuals. You can see the sparkle in their eyes and the kindness in their smiles. The members all had different backgrounds and professions, but what brought them together was their spiritual belief. To gain a deeper understanding of Buddhism, their path led them on a 3-week journey across China and Tibet. Special thanks to Eduardo and the group for allowing us to tag along to document their meaningful journey. Our goal at TCT is to make it simple and easy for travelers from around the world to visit China and Tibet. Get in touch with us if you have any questions or if you would like to visit China and Tibet with us. All of our contact information and the itinerary of the places we visited are in the description box below. This is Q from TravelChinaTibet.com on behalf of TCT. Thank you for joining us and safe travels.